Okay, good morning. This is MathProject27. Here we are at practice problem number 1. The sum of the first 20 counting numbers is 210. What is the sum of the next 20 counting numbers? Okay, do you understand the problem?
Yes.
The sum of the first 20 is 210. So what 20 numbers are we trying to find the sum of?
The first 20 numbers. First 20 counting numbers.
What's the sum of the first 20 counting numbers?
210.
What are we trying to find the sum of?
The next 20 counting numbers.
The next 20. So what are those next 20 numbers? What's the first one?
First one is going to be 21.
21 plus
22
plus
23, and then you can put dot,
up. What's the last one?
Plus 39, and plus 40.
Okay, 40 is the last one. So I'll say plus 38 plus 39 plus 40. Okay, that's what we're trying to find the sum of. Okay. All right. So let me get a little bit more room here. The sum of the first 20 is 210. What's the sum of the next 20? So we're trying to find 20 plus 21 plus 22 plus plus 30. 38 plus 39 plus 40. Okay. How are we going to do this?
Well, we can figure out how many numbers we have, and we have 20.
Sorry, I started with 20. I didn't mean to start with 20. Start with 21. Right. We have 20 numbers.
Yeah. We could add them all up, but that would take a long time.
We could add them all up, but that might take a while. So the question is there any better way to do this?
Look for a pattern.
You got any ideas?
No, not really.
Not really? How would you do it if we were trying to add up 1 through 20?
I know what 1 through 10 is.
You do know what 1 through 10 is, but do you know how to add up 1 through 20? Do you remember how to do that?
Yeah, you write it backwards.
Okay, so what would happen if you wrote them backwards here?
So we got 40. 30 plus 39. Dot. All the way down to
What one's going to be paired with 40?
21.
Okay. Do you want to write 21 under the 40? 21.
Or then plus 22.
Plus.
23.
Okay. So if this is 1 and 2, what do you get when you add 1 plus 2?
Well, we just get a bunch of 61s.
Okay, you get 61 plus 61 plus 61
And dot.
plus 61. Okay, how many 61s are we going to have?
20 times 61.
Okay, so this is equal to 20 times 61.
10 times 61 is 610.
10 times 61 is 610.
So it's 610 plus 610.
Okay.
And 610 plus 610
Ooh, sorry, I bumped the camera.
is 1,220. 20 times 61 is 1,220.
610 plus 610 is 1,220. Okay. Now, is 1,220 the sum of 21 plus 22 all the way up to 40?
No, it's the sum of all those 61s.
It's the sum of all the 61s. So how do we figure out what 21 plus 22 all the way up to 40 is? We didn't want to add up all the 61s. We wanted to add up 21 plus 22 all the way up to 40.
How do we do it?
And we were using our little trick. Okay? See if you can figure out what the trick is.
We got a big old shadow.
Yeah. Please focus on the problem. So what have we added up so far?
We've added up all the 61s.
Okay, we added up all the 61s. And what were the 61s made up of?
The 21 these two equations. It was made up of 1 plus 2.
Okay. What do you notice about 1 and 2?
They have exactly the same numbers in them?
They have exactly the same numbers in them. So what is 1,220? So if this adds up to x, if equation 1 adds up to x, what does equation 2 add up to?
X.
So what does equation 1 plus equation 2 add up to?
2x.
2x. So what does 2x equal?
1,220.
So what do we have to do to figure out what x equals?
We'll have to divide 1,220 divided by 2, which equals 610.
Okay. 1,220 divided by 2, which equals 610. Okay. So there's our answer. 610. Okay. Very good. So do you think you'll remember how to do that one, a problem like that, next time we see it?
Yes.
Okay. Great, because you're going to see one just like that in the homework problems. Okay. Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, here's practice problem number 2, and there's the Lego guy. Bill has 4 kinds of blocks. He has more yellow blocks than blue blocks, more blue blocks than red blocks, more red blocks than tan blocks. If he has 11 blocks total, how many of each block does he have? Okay. So, how many kinds of blocks does he have?
He has yellow, blue, red, and tan.
Okay, and which one does he have the most of?
There's the most of the yellows.
Okay, so he has more yellow blocks than blue blocks. Okay, how much does he have second most of?
The blue blocks.
Okay, he has the second most of the blue blocks.
And then the red blocks.
The red blocks.
And then the tan.
And then the tan. Okay. Now, it doesn't look like we have, well, how many blocks does he have total?
11.
He has 11 total. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have enough information to figure out how many of each block he has, but it turns out, kind of surprisingly, that you can actually figure out this problem. Okay, so I'm going to erase the problem. Okay, so tell me again, which block does he have the most of? What color block does he have the most of? Yellow. And he has more yellows than...
More yellows than blues.
And more blues than reds. And more reds than...
Then tan.
And how many total blocks does he have?
Equals 11.
11, okay. So 11's not a very big number. So we're going to try to figure out how many of each block he has. So let's start out with the lowest number. So what's a good guess for a low number of tan blocks that he might have?
1.
1. Okay. So he might have 1 tan block. What's the lowest number of red blocks he could have then?
2.
2. So he might have 2 red blocks.
And then 3 blue blocks.
He might have 3 blue blocks.
And then 4 yellows.
Okay, you might have 4 yellows. Okay, this is a good starting guess. Might have 4 yellows. How many blocks is that?
It's 10 blocks.
Ooh, shoot. Well, we're 1 short. So that didn't work.
Well,
But it was a good guess.
Well, let's try to see how about 2 tan blocks.
Okay. Good idea. So if he has 2 tan blocks, how many red blocks does he have?
He can have 3 red blocks.
Okay.
And 4 blue blocks.
4 blue blocks.
And 5 yellow blocks.
5 yellow blocks.
But that's gonna add up to 14.
Is it? 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 5 is 14. So that's too many.
It's too many. We're off by 3 there.
Okay, how many were we off for before? 1. Okay, so let's go back to what we started with. We're off by 1. Okay, so if we started with 2 tan blocks, we got a number that was too big. But when we started with 1 and just went up by 1 every time. So how could we add 1 block here to get to 11?
Just put on the yellows.
Put on a yellow. Oh, that's interesting.
Now we got to 11.
Now we got to 11. So this problem went to 11. All right, so And how do we know that there's no other way to do this? You figured out one good check that you did is if you started with 2 blocks, you got a number that was too high. But what if we added an extra red block instead of another yellow block? What would we have to do next?
Yeah. So when
If we added a red block, what happens if we add a red block?
I think, well,
Does this work too? It adds up to 11.
yeah, well, it does add up to 11.
It does add up to 11. Is there anything wrong with this?
Except this has the same number here.
Right, it has the same number of red and blue, and the problem said we had more blues than red, so we would have to add a blue block too.
Yeah, but that equals 12.
But now this equals 12. Would this work though?
And it doesn't work. Illegal.
It doesn't work because now we have to add a yellow block as well. Okay, so that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now what if we added just a blue block instead? So now it adds up to
Illegal.
11. It's illegal because why?
Because there's 4 and 4.
There's 4 and 4. Okay, so it turns out the only way to make this work is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5. Okay. Now, so good job. Do you understand that?
Yeah, how about the homework problems?
Yep, and here's the homework problems. Oops, I dropped the eraser on the floor. The homework problems are Olympiad 34. Problem number 1 and problem number 2. Okay, very good. Well, those are 2 pretty fun problems,
Yeah.
weren't they? Okay, great.